We are now nearing the DC Maryland border and have almost traveled the whole length of the main stem Anacostia in DC. Kingman Island has ended just on the west bank as we move up, and you can see some of the Langston Golf Course over the trees. On the east bank of the river, Kenilworth Park continues, and you truly feel like you've been transported back in time. We are still in the city, still in the nation's capital, but no buildings can be seen, and the city noises of car horns and buses gives way to the sound of flowing water and the subtle sounds of nature. As we make the turn towards the district line, we pass the National Arboretum on the west bank of the river. The Arboretum was established in 1927 by an act of Congress and is currently managed by the United States Department of Agriculture. Just before we reach the Arboretum, we pass Hickey Run on the west bank, one of the other main tributaries to the Anacostia that flows through the Arboretum just before meeting the main stem river. Unfortunately, Hickey Run is one of the more imperiled tributaries to the Anacostia, as it receives an abundance of stormwater input and is often found to have elevated bacterial counts throughout the year. In the summer, visitors may go to the Anacostia and may also notice beautiful greenery growing along the river, looking almost something like you'd see in an old photograph of the South. Unfortunately, this pleasing greenery is an invasive vine called kudzu, also known as the plant that smothered the South. As a plant grows, it grows up trees, smothers it, eventually causing the tree to die. However, this isn't the only invasive species to the Anacostia that poses a threat to trees along the river. You may notice some large, dead trees along the river. Most of these are ash trees, which have unfortunately been killed by the emerald ash borer, an invasive beetle that makes its home in ash trees, eventually killing the tree. They have spread not just to the Anacostia, but all over the Chesapeake Bay, and are considered a major issue as ash trees are essential shade trees for cities and natural ecosystems alike, helping to reduce the heat island effect in cities and decreasing overall air and water temperatures around the river. The Arboretum itself is 446 acres and contains thousands of species of different plants from across the world. Near the center of the Arboretum are the National Capitol columns. These set of 22 Corinthian columns were once part of the U.S. Capitol and were transported here to make for one of the more recognizable areas of the Arboretum. But most interesting to the Anacostia, the Arboretum serves as the home for one of DC's resident bald eagle couples, lovingly nicknamed Mr. President and the First Lady. The pair began nesting in the Arboretum in 2014 and were some of the first bald eagles to nest in the district since the 1940s. Due to the widespread use of the pollutant DDT, which took a disastrous toll on bird populations in the region, especially bald eagles, throughout the 20th century. Today, the First Lady and Mr. President can be spotted flying around the Anacostia and DC, squabbling with visiting ospreys, and have even been joined by more eagles along the river. There's even a live camera that people can view online, which is pointed directly at the nest and is wildly popular in the spring and summer months when young eagles are just being born. Just upstream of the Arboretum sits one of the truly hidden gems of the Anacostia, the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. The land that the gardens sit on were purchased by a Civil War veteran. Missing some of his native water lilies from Maine, Shaw brought some down to the Anacostia and planted them in the river, where they ended up thriving. After the years, he planted more and more species of aquatic plants until the land passed to his daughter. With talks of dredging becoming a reality, Shaw's daughter, Helen Shaw Fowler, fought to save the gardens her father built and eventually sold the land to the U.S. government in 1938 to be turned into a national park. Today, the aquatic gardens are part of the larger Anacostia Park complex and receive thousands of visitors each year, especially in the summertime when the annual Lotus Festival takes place. Around the middle of the summer each year, the thousands of lotus plants in the gardens bloom to reveal magnificent flowers that draw visitors and photographers alike from around the world. Hundreds of different aquatic plants call these gardens home, and it is said that over the years, almost 300 different species of birds have been spotted in the gardens, a popular resting spot along with the rest of the Anacostia for migrating waterfowl.